Hey, you guys mentioned a couple weeks ago that there was a part of your homework that you didn't really like because you had to order fractions. So I told you that we would have a chance to work on that at some point. So I thought this would be a great time to do that. So you should have this sheet in front of you and make sure it's sheet J. And so let's just talk about how you would do this. So you're supposed to order the fractions on the number line, and we're going to try and place them appropriately. So if you think back to when we were comparing fractions before, one of the things that we said was if they are greater than 1, then that tells us that they're going to be bigger than ones that are not greater than 1. So if we look at the list that we have right here, we can separate them into two groups. We've got ones that are not greater than 1, like 4/5, 1/4, and 4/7. And then we have ones that are greater than 1, like 1 and 2/3, and 1 and 1/3, right? And then within those two groups, we can organize them by size. So these two should be pretty easy to group because they both have the 1 in common, and then one of them is 1 and 1/3 and one is 1 and 2/3. So if we arrange these in order, hopefully you would realize that these would be 1 and 1/3 is the smaller, and then 1 and 2/3 is the bigger. Right, then these are all less than 1, and so we would have to think about how we could compare them. So I noticed these two, remember in our comparing fractions, one of our ways to compare was if they had the same numerator, then we could decide which one was the larger because it had the smaller denominator. Again, remember, the smaller the denominator, if we use our cake model, the better, because then this means I share the cake with less people. So the pieces are bigger. So I have 4 big pieces here versus 4 smaller pieces. So I know that 4/5 is going to be bigger than 4/7. So then I have to decide, where does 1/4 fall in there? Well, this is 1 out of 4 pieces. So that would look something like this if we're talking about cake, which is smaller than each of these. Again, think about our benchmark one. 4/7 is just a little bit bigger than a half because 3.5/7 would be a half. 1/4 is way smaller than that. All right, so now at least we know the correct order of them, but now we have to place them on the number line. So let's look at these first. All right, so it's easy to split the graph or the number line up into 4 equal pieces just to kind of get a frame of reference here. So this would be a half, and this would be a 1/4, and this would be 3/4. Well, boom, one of them is right on there. That's 1/4. So then in terms of the 4/7, I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I know it's going to go just a tiny bit above 1/2, because remember we said 3.5/7 is a half, so 4/7 is just a tiny bit bigger. And then again, we can compare these two if we use our one less strategy. Remember, for comparing, that if I have two fractions where both of them have the numerator is 1 less than the denominator, then the bigger fraction is the one with the bigger numbers in it. Again, remember the cake example that we did, that if you take one piece of a cake that's cut into 4, I have 4, I end up taking away a bigger piece right here, all right? And so there's less left than if I take away one smaller piece. So 4/5 is going to be somewhere to the right of 3/4. Again, I'm not exactly sure where, but I'm going to say it's maybe right about there. So this is 4/5, and this is 4/7, and this is 1/4. Okay, and then let's go to the other side here. This one's going to be pretty easy because all I have to do is split this up into 3 equal groups by putting 2 equally spaced lines. So maybe like right here and right here. No, this one's too far over. So this would be 1 2/3, no kidding. This would be 1 1/3 and 1 2/3. Okay, so then that is it. So we've got these 5 points on there. All right, so let's try it again now with this one. So we've got 2 of them that are bigger than 1. So let's put them over here, 1 1/2 and 1 4/5. And then we've got 3 that are smaller than 1. We've got 3/4, we've got 1/2, and we've got 1/4. This one's too easy. You guys could totally do this without my help. All right, first of all, you can see that these two have same denominator. That was one of our comparison techniques, right? And so we said that the one with the larger denominator is the bigger fraction because I have the same size piece here, but now I just picked the one that has more pieces. So 3/4 is going to be bigger than 1/4. So let's do 1/4 and 3/4. And then 1/2, hopefully you would just know that that falls in between right there. All right, again, if I were to make fourths into equivalent to a half, this would be 2/4, right? And so I could say, oh, I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. All right, so let's line them up here. I'm going to erase this so I have enough room to do that. So half would be right here. And then half of a half is a fourth. And halfway between half and 1 is 3/4. So boom, those are right there ready for us. Sorry, you might not have been able to see that. All right, so then on this side, again, hopefully this one is easy. It's between 1 and 2, and it's saying it's halfway between 1 and 2. So that's 1 1/2. All right, if we split again like this, that's 1 1/4, and that's 1 3/4. And again, just like our conversation before here where we were trying to place 3/4 and 4/5 relative to each other, 4/5 is just slightly bigger than 3/4, so then we would put 1 4/5 right here. And then we've got our 1 1/2 right here, and then the other 3. Okay, let's do one more, and then there's another sheet of these that you're going to try on your own. Okay, so then let's group the ones that are bigger than 1 in here. So we've got 1 1/6 and 1 9/10. And then on the side that's smaller than 1, we've got 5/7, 1/2, and 1/7. All right, so let's arrange these in order. So hopefully you would say, well, obviously 5/7 is bigger than 1/7 because I have the same size pieces, but here I have 5 of them and here I only have 1. So if we were to arrange them in order, let me erase so that it's not quite so messy. These are definitely going to go this way rather than the way that they were, but then let's check to see if 1/2 falls between them, or if it should be maybe over here, or if it should be over here. So let's take these two and compare them. Well, we have our same numerator technique. That if I have the same numerators, all I have to do is compare the denominators. And again, it seems a little counterintuitive, but the bigger the denominator, the smaller the piece. And again, that's because you're sharing with more people. So I have a big denominator here relative to this one. So this is less cake than this one because I have to share with 7 people, where here it's only sharing with 2. And again, half is an easy fraction to draw because we just cut that distance in half, and that's where a half is. All right, so 1/7 has to be somewhere over here, and then 5/7 is going to be somewhere over here. Again, we can say that half of in sevenths is 3 1/2 sevenths. Right? Remember, we cut the denominator in 2 equal pieces. Half of 7 is 3 1/2. So 5/7 has to be somewhere over here. This one is going to be tough. I would say 7ths, let's see, those are 4ths. 5ths are probably about here. So maybe 7ths is like here. Actually, let's do this. Sorry, I'm just thinking about this on my own. All right, this is 1/4, half of a half. And then half of a fourth is an eighth. And a seventh and an eighth, if we compare them again, I have less pieces that I have to cut this into, and so the pieces are going to be bigger than this. And so 1/7 would fall somewhere about there. All right, then I could do the same thing here. This would be 3/4, and this would be, let's see, if I cut it into eighths, this would be 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. So let's say this is 6/8. This is 5/8. All right, so if I have 5/8 versus 5/7, again, it's a little bit bigger. I still have 5 pieces here, but these pieces are smaller and these pieces are bigger. So this should fall probably right around here is my guess. That would be 5/7. And then that's 1/2. Okay, and then on this side, we've got 1/6. So let's think about how we could do 1/6. Well, let's see. That's a half. So that's 1.5. We could make that into 1/6. We could say this is 1 3/6. Right, so then relative to that, we could say, well, if this is 3/6, maybe I do 1/6, 2/6. So that would be 1 1/6 right there. And then for tenths, again, you're just a tiny bit away from getting to 2. So I would estimate 1/10 to be, or 1 9/10 to be maybe right there. We're just kind of eyeballing it. Okay. Hopefully that wasn't too bad, and then when you go to do the next sheet on your own, you'll feel a little bit more confident. All right, see ya.